Yes, welcome once again, everyone. Cannabis News. I'm your host, Joe Klare. It's May 9th, 2019. The show, as always, is presented by the Marijuana Times. Check us out at marijuanatimes.org. Click the video tab there to find the show. A bunch of great articles there as well by a ton of great writers. Social media links, of course, as well. marijuanatimes.org. Go check us out. Today, talking about Ohio maybe adding more qualifying conditions to their medical marijuana program. Also, some attorneys general from around the country are urging Congress to do something about marijuana banking. And we'll play you a video, a news story out of Oklahoma that puts, more of a real face on what this plant does and how prohibition policies affect real people and what could be accomplished if these prohibition policies weren't the norm or hadn't been the norm for the last 7, 8, 9 decades. All of that coming up. But first, of course, Cannabis News is brought to you by NatureSide. Nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides makes you growing safe and poison-free. You're not using banned pesticides. Don't put harmful chemicals on things that people are going to be ingesting. That's just awful. Check out NatureSide, nature-side.com. They're an awesome sponsor of the show. Site is spelled CIDE. Go and check them out. Before we get to our stories, of course, a few more days left in our Instagram giveaway, Marijuana Times X on Instagram. Go check us out there. Find the enter to win image, follow the instructions, enter to win, get entries to win, and maybe win awesome Make Cannabis Great Again swag and Marijuana Times swag, shirts, hats, a mug. Come on. Running out of time. May 13th at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time is when the contest ends. Get to our Instagram at Marijuana Times X. Hurry. Time is running out. Critical. Things have reached critical mass. If you want the swag, if you don't want to wait for all that and go through all that, MakeCannabisGreatAgain.com. Go get some. Part of the proceeds go to fighting for legalization. It's first story from MarijuanaTimes.org by Julia Granowitz. Ohio could be the first state to allow medical marijuana for the treatment of depression. As many of you may know, there's been quite a slow rollout, if you will, of medical marijuana in Ohio. Most people seem to be waiting for prices to come down and or to get a dispensary near where they live before they enter the medical marijuana market in Ohio. The state medical board is considering adding 5 more illnesses to the list of qualifying conditions. These would be depression, insomnia, autism spectrum disorder, anxiety, and opioid use disorder. The 12-member medical board decides to add these ailments. Ohio will become the first state where depression is a qualifying condition. Though there's plenty of research and anecdotal evidence that suggests cannabis is especially useful for people suffering from these 5 illnesses, depression is the only one that is not on the list of qualifying conditions for any state where medical marijuana is currently legal. To add these 5 conditions to the list, a 4-member advisory committee recommended a vote, which is currently scheduled for later this month. The full 12-member medical board final vote is expected by June 12th. If these 5 conditions are added, it would pretty much double the amount of people in Ohio that are eligible for medical marijuana, and that is a good thing. This next story from National Public Radio, 38 attorneys general asked Congress to bring marijuana money into the banking system. The attorney generals of 38 states and territories sent a letter to congressional leaders urging them, please let us bank the money generated by the country's booming cannabis business. Most states and several U.S. territories have legalized medical marijuana. And of course, 10 states and D.C. have legalized adult recreational use. But federal law still considers marijuana illegal, therefore banking headaches. California Attorney General Xavier Becerra, one of the signatories, said, quote, "This is simple. Not incorporating an $8.3 billion industry into our banking system is hurting our public safety and economy. The Safe Banking Act will reward taxpayers and small and local businesses who play by the rules. We urge Congress to pass legislation to meet the demands of our growing economy." So, of course, if marijuana companies can't bank what they make, it leaves them open to theft, other crime. They have to hire armored cars and guards to store money in different places. It's a whole ridiculous setup that's completely unnecessary. If we're going to do this legalization thing piecemeal and part by part, which it seems we are, even on the federal level, then this is a definite must to get passed. It is also very popular. In late March, the House Financial Services Committee advanced the bill, and it has attracted 175 co-sponsors from both parties in the House of Representatives. So you think at the very least they'll be able to get this to a vote and get it passed out of the House and move it toward the Senate. There, it can run into a problem. The Senate Banking Committee chairman is Mike Crapo. I guess that's his real name. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but that's how I'm going to pronounce it. A Republican from Idaho. Is one of the only states that hasn't legalized or decriminalized marijuana at all. So having an Idaho Republican, the head of the Senate Banking Committee, does not bode well for the banking bill. But, I mean, even someone who disagrees with marijuana legalization would have to agree the marijuana legalization is here, and making these companies carry around huge amounts of cash and store them and guard them is ridiculous and unnecessary and silly. And I could go on, but it is what it is. You know, government's going to do unnecessary, silly things, and it does them all the time. Whether or not they rectify this one, we'll see. But as I said, at the very least, they should be able to get it through the House and get it pushed toward the Senate, and then see what happens and try to push some pressure on some members of the Senate. I don't know. Time will tell, of course. This last story is from a news channel out of Oklahoma. As I said, sometimes when I do this show, and sometimes when you read articles or delve into the issue of cannabis law reform, it's easy to get bogged down in statistics and abstract ideas. And it's important to remember sometimes that this plant and the prohibition of this plant affects real people and doesn't allow real people the help that they would otherwise get if the prohibition of cannabis didn't exist. This is one of those stories.
6-year-old Ian McAdams is all smiles. This happy-go-lucky demeanor relatively new. Mom Melody McAdams started treating Ian with medical marijuana friction oil, also known as tincture oil, just 2 months ago.
I noticed a change overnight almost. He slept through the night. The meltdowns have completely stopped. See how happy he is? And he doesn't have a device. Like, that makes me happy.
These changes in Ian, life-changing for the mom who says she'd almost run out of hope.
We did the ABA. We did that for 3.5 years.
By the way, this is from KJRH-TV Tulsa Channel 2.
Which cost us almost $900 a month copay. And we also did lots of speech therapy and lots of occupational therapy. And it just got exhausting. And he wasn't really changing.
She says the deciding factor in Ian's new treatment was a trip to the doctor, where she asked about options for medication.
And he told me no Seroquel, and I was like, I'm not putting him on an antipsychotic. He's not psychotic. If you look up the side effects of Seroquel, which was what was recommended to Ian, versus the side effects of this, you would choose it for your child too.
The family's quality of life has now made leaps and bounds, the first time since Ian was diagnosed.
We wouldn't have the blinds up. We wouldn't have glass up. We wouldn't have the things unplugged, the receps. You know, we'd have everything child safety like a baby. He's not like a baby anymore.
Moments like this,
Ian?
a victory every time.
Yes, you're beautiful. Come on, out of the camera, please. Thank you. And he communicates with me every day. Yesterday, he told me he had a bad day at school.
Sherilyn Walton is with TARC, a Tulsa area advocacy group for Oklahomans with developmental and intellectual disabilities. She says since medical marijuana became legal here, some parents have looked into the treatment. But she says there haven't been a lot of studies on the effects of medical marijuana on children with autism.
So we are cautioning families about what they read and what they do to make some really wise choices.
You know what? Caution them all you want. Do all the research you want, obviously. Study as much as you can about all of this. But in the meantime, you have to give parents this option. You think about this. There are actually people in this country that are against this mother giving her son cannabis and treating him medically that way and giving him some sort of quality of life. There are people against that. There's people against what this mother is doing. Not this lady necessarily. She's just cautioning, and that's great. That's her job. Caution all the way. More research, yes, fine. But in the end, parents should have the choice.
and not do anything without the help of a physician.
She says she supports medical marijuana, but doesn't feel comfortable recommending it just yet.
It may be that it works with some, that marijuana might work with some and not with others, just like other medications. We will certainly continue to watch the research. We want to give out good information, and we wanted information that we feel like we can trust.
Absolutely. All of that is wonderful. But in the meantime, the choice has to be there. Because even without the studies, without the research, you can see the effects. You see the effects in these children. Going back to the Sanjay Gupta documentaries on the weed documentaries on CNN, you see the effects. You see them everywhere. On these children, they had no quality of life. Now they have a decent quality of life. I don't know how you can be against that. Again, thank you, KJRH TV Tulsa Channel 2, where the video is courtesy of. Thank you all for watching and listening. Make sure you go check out the Instagram giveaway. Hopefully we'll have a YouTube giveaway here soon. So make sure you subscribe to the Marijuana Times on YouTube. Hit that little notification bell to make sure you know when a new episode of Cannabis News is dropped. Thank you to Natureside, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Thank you all for watching, listening, sharing, and commenting. All of that stuff. We'll see you next time right here on Cannabis News.